5 stories that shows that the narrative is being changed, and they're secretly telling you what they want you to know, all the while secretly controlling everything you're doing. It's amazing, the America we live in, and how people are seeing it. It's not as much of a secret anymore, and no one's doing anything about it. Let's jump into those 5 stories today, and hopefully we'll gain some wisdom on what we need to be doing. Guys, this video starts right now. Breaking news. They're controlling you. They're controlling the narrative behind what you see and hear. Is that such breaking news anymore? Because we hear the stories, and for some reason, people just blow it off as, that's not happening. There's no conspiracy. Come on. Well, welcome to the Max today. We're going to jump into some issues that I think that we just need to be aware of if you're not already aware of them. So if you're new to the Max, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. That surely does help us out, and it doesn't cost you anything. It just costs you a little time to click it. So click subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or down, but tell us what you think about this video, and let's jump into the stories. So watching and spying, and then also controlling what we see. So let's talk security in our nation first. Number 1, China. We hear that TikTok is now being censored. They're trying to get it away from kids and also government phones, because they are surveilling us and getting our information, all the informations we click on. Now, we hear this all the time, and we know that everything and every device that we're on pretty much takes a lot of our privacy. We understand that. TikTok is taking it to a new level, and also it's getting into international issues because this is a Chinese app. Now, the scary thing is we see Republicans and Democrats from both sides of the aisle saying this is not good. For government purposes, you cannot have TikTok on your phone because they're getting a lot of that information that they should not be accessing. Now, I would also push this back on parents for your children. I hear all the time people say, well, I try to get my kids off of TikTok. There is no trying. You are the parent. So it's time to take some of these things away, because what they're doing is taking the information. Some of the information could be your information, and ultimately it's not going to be good. They are surveilling and controlling and watching you through an app. So this is a Chinese-backed situation. We need to get away from that. On to number 2. So we go from China to now our own government. Number 2 is FBI. An FBI informant came out just this week and stated that the top brass is manipulating and censoring some of the stories that social media is putting out. Now, we're hearing a lot about this because Twitter and all that's been bought out. But the truth is, you're starting to see some of these rank and file members of the FBI, people who we think we can trust, saying, our leadership, and the more they move up, it's not about the goods and bads, it's about the political narrative that we need to push. Well, we know the FBI has never been the most, from J. Edgar Hoover in history, it's really never been a very good led organization. Can the FBI do good jobs? Can the FBI keep us safe? Yes, I think the lower level agents are doing that. Sadly, I don't think the top brass is, and these informants are now saying, look, they're censoring stories so the American people won't know it. They're secretly taking the information away from us as the citizens. Now, if it's talking about national security, it could be good, but we tend to use emergencies or national security as an excuse to keep American citizens in the blind. Is that good policy? On to number 3. Back channels. We've heard a lot of discussion. I mean, we hear about the FTX thing with back channels. We hear about all this situation with back channels. But what I'm talking about is number 3. It's going to be the CDC. The CDC had back channels with, again, social media platforms to control the narratives around C-19. Do we think that is honest and true and good? The sad thing is now the stories are now coming out saying that some of the things that we've done have been cover-ups. All that's true now. It's no longer a conspiracy theory, it's the truth. And so when we go from the narrative being pushed by even our own government against its own people. Now we hear other governments try to manipulate another group of people. We hear, Russia, we hear China, we hear all these groups of people manipulating what the news media is pushing to foreign countries. We understand that because they're trying to keep their narrative. But when their own governments, like America, is keeping information from the American people, that's when it becomes dangerous. That should be breaking news all across America to say, we need all the information and let us make the wise and educated guesses and hypotheses and make sure we have freedoms to make our own opinions and not the ones that you want to push on us. CDC, number 3, back channels. That is some scary secret stuff that now it makes it where you cannot trust some of the medical establishments. When all of a sudden it really needs to be trusted, when something really bad happens, we go back and say, well, we couldn't trust you then, how can we trust you now? Scary. Number 4, immigration. Number 4 is ICE and the Department of Homeland Security and the leadership, again, of immigration policy is quietly covering up the truth about what the stories are now showing. Is there's way more people flooding the border than we know. There's way more trafficking than we know. Way more drugs than we know. Stories have come out and said that, hey, you know what? They're covering those things up. They have a back channel to change the data. Again, with that back channel, we need to get a hold of that back channel. ICE quietly fixes misleading data after exposed massive flaws in the immigration stats. Transparency. We hear transparency from all these politicians. Transparency. You're going to have full transparency. That's bull. We never have transparency, and we never can make wise opinions on things because American people are so shuttered, and then we're so manipulated because the information we are getting is, it's been controlled and manipulated by back channels and by the government. Now let's go to number 5. Back to the FBI. Number 5. Story came out in Washington Examiner. It says FBI used secret powers to strip more Americans of gun rights, documents reveal. All that secret, back channels, sleight of hand, do we see the narrative? Do we see what's really happening? Nothing is transparent. Nothing can be seen. Now again, when it comes to our national security, I don't think we should know everything the CIA or the FBI on national security knows. Should I know everything the NSA knows as just a citizen? Probably not. However, what we are now seeing is they are controlling the information that is getting to us, and the things that shows corruption is the things that we should know more about. What the story is showing is FBI is slowly but surely taking guns away from people. Sadly, our rights are just being taken away, from guns to medical information to now we're being surveilled by international bodies, and we're not doing anything about it. We had a $200 million battery contract just go to China, so you think we're going to step over the line? China's having major lockdown issues and also having riots and protests. We're not covering it. We're not saying we're standing with the Chinese people. Our government's scared of it. So we're not going to push against it. And then again, we see our FBI. We hear the stories. We've heard it for the last 2 to 4 years that the FBI has some corruption, and they're too politicized in the top brass, and not a dang thing done about it. This is where I struggle with the Republicans saying they're going to change policy. No, they're not. It's all the same. I don't think you have but just a few people that actually want to do something about all these stories. So I go back and say 5 ways that should be breaking news and changing the way America looks at things. And the American citizens saying we are standing up because this is not freedom. This is not truth. When they're manipulating what we hear, using back channels to change the narrative and change the numbers, and our own government is censoring things that we should be listening to so we can make wise and educated decisions. And then all of a sudden, internationally, people are surveilling our government and our kids. And this is some shady stuff that should be breaking news and making people call their representatives and making their representatives do something about it. But they ain't doing nothing. So now again, I go back and say, this is why we prep. I've been making these videos for a few months on why we prep, why we homestead, why we do what we do. And it's all about trying to show you the truth and letting you make wise decisions by finding your own information and seeking that people are not actually looking out for your good. It takes you looking out for your good and making wise decisions for your family and how you can keep your family safe, your kids safe, and try to do the very best you can in raising them. We need some wisdom and need some knowledge and need great leadership to lead us in a way that can handle these stories and do better with these 5 terrible situations. We don't need people flooding our borders and trafficking happening with people and kids, drugs flooding, and all of a sudden our only news sources and media has all been covered and censored by our own government, and then people looking at us and surveilling us. Not good policy, guys. America needs to be the America it once was and get away from all this. Give me your thoughts below, what you think about this video, what you think about some of these stories. Have you heard them? Have you not? Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, telling me what you and your family are doing about it. And also, have you called your representative? Have you not called your representative? Do you think that's a waste of time? Let me know in the comments below. We need your thought process because that's what helps us be wise together. We build knowledge by comments below because I like to read them personally and it helps me too. So guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Happy homesteading, y'all.